This is Canterbury News. I'm Brian O'Halloran. The headlines today. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has suspended his independent presidential campaign and endorsed Donald Trump. Kennedy cited concerns such as free speech and the war in Ukraine, stating that his candidacy would have unintentionally helped Democratic nominee Kamala Harris. While withdrawing from some states, his name remains on the ballot in key battlegrounds. Meanwhile, the Democratic National Convention concluded in Chicago, with notable speeches from former GOP figures like Adam Kinzinger. Vice President Kamala Harris accepted her party's nomination, gaining unexpected momentum. The event also tested the city's CTA system, which performed well amidst heavy traffic. Federal Reserve Chairman Jay Powell has indicated readiness to cut U.S. interest rates in September, citing increasing risks to the labor market and diminished inflationary pressures. In a speech at Jackson Hole, Wyoming, Powell highlighted the need for policy adjustments as inflation stabilizes and economic uncertainties grow. Markets have responded by pricing in a potential larger-than-expected rate cut, and the dollar has weakened. Powell's comments have stirred political responses, with concerns over timing amid upcoming elections and economic challenges facing the U.S. California Governor Gavin Newsom is adjusting to a new role in the shadow of Vice President Kamala Harris, his longtime political ally. Both were elected in San Francisco on the same day 20 years ago and have risen together in California politics. At the Democratic National Convention, Newsom kept a low profile as Harris accepted the party's presidential nomination, replacing Joe Biden. While Harris took center stage, Newsom's position remains uncertain as he navigates his role in supporting her campaign without overshadowing her historic moment. His future role in the campaign remains to be clarified. The New York Daily News reports two violent incidents involving teenagers. A 15-year-old, out on bail for robbery, fatally shot a Brooklyn man, while a Bronx boy, 16, was injured by a scooter-riding gunman. The New York Post also reports that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has suspended his presidential campaign and endorsed Donald Trump, emphasizing that the Democratic Party has departed so dramatically from the core values he grew up with. The Boston Globe reports that Governor Maura Healey's plan to rescue 6 struggling Steward health care hospitals may cost taxpayers up to $700 million by 2027. The bailout, aimed at stabilizing critical facilities after Steward's collapse, highlights how the hospital crisis could continue to affect Massachusetts. Some of the funding is expected to come from federal mass health matches or hospital assessments to support low-income patient care. The full cost of the plan has yet to be officially confirmed by state officials. The Dallas Morning News reports that the U.S. Department of Justice has filed an antitrust lawsuit against Richardson-based RealPage, accusing the company of decreasing competition in apartment pricing through its rental software. The DOJ alleges RealPage's algorithms allowed landlords to align rents, violating antitrust laws. Additionally, 16 Republican-led states, including Texas, are suing to end a federal program offering a pathway to citizenship for undocumented immigrants married to U.S. citizens, claiming it incentivizes illegal immigration. Meanwhile, the Federal Reserve has signaled upcoming interest rate cuts to address economic concerns. The Wall Street Journal also reports on Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell's announcement of upcoming interest rate cuts, reiterating his focus on preventing further weakening of the U.S. labor market. Powell's remarks boosted the stock market, with the Dow rising by over 400 points and the Nasdaq increasing 1.5%. His speech at Jackson Hole signals a likely end to the Fed's inflation-fighting efforts, as Powell stressed the need for policy adjustments to stabilize employment. The next Federal Reserve meeting is scheduled for mid-September, where a rate cut is widely expected. The Washington Post also highlights Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell's indication of imminent interest rate cuts, aligning with previous reports. Powell expressed confidence that inflation is stabilizing and emphasized concerns over a cooling labor market. His remarks, made in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, suggest a rate cut could occur at the Fed's September meeting. Economists are speculating whether the cut will be a more aggressive half-point or a standard quarter-point reduction. Powell's speech has fueled discussions about the Fed's next steps as economic conditions evolve. USA Today reports that Kamala Harris's policy plans are facing increased scrutiny following her nomination at the Democratic National Convention. Her speech emphasized broad foreign policy principles, including standing up to Russia and defending Israel while supporting Palestinian self-determination. Harris also promised a middle-class tax cut, housing solutions, and border security. However, critics pointed out that the speech lacked detailed policy explanations, with senior policy advisor Brian Nelson repeatedly avoiding specifics during a roundtable discussion. Harris, newly selected as the Democratic candidate, has yet to fully develop detailed policy plans. Now to the UK. The boss of the Port of Dover has issued a stark warning that new post-Brexit travel checks could paralyze the port by Easter. As British travellers will need to submit to fingerprinting and facial biometrics under the EU's new entry-exit system starting in November, the extra processing time could severely impact operations. While new infrastructure is being built to manage this process through Easter, it is expected to be insufficient for handling the increased traffic during the summer of 2025. This comes amid current travel disruptions during the August bank holiday. Rachel Reeves, the UK Chancellor, is facing growing backlash within her Labour Party over plans to abolish winter fuel payments for millions of pensioners. The announcement comes as energy bills are set to rise by 10% this winter. Labour peers and MPs, such as Rachel Maskell and Lord Fawkes, have voiced concerns, warning of a devastating impact on vulnerable elderly citizens. Reeves has been urged to reconsider the decision, with calls for social tariffs to protect those most at risk during the upcoming cold season. The UK's HS2 high-speed rail project faces yet another setback, as it has been revealed that the 225 mph trains are too high for station platforms. The gap between train doors and platforms has created safety concerns, forcing the government to allocate an additional £200 million to modify carriages. Even after these adjustments, accessibility challenges remain, particularly for wheelchair users and those with limited mobility. This latest issue adds to the growing list of problems surrounding the £57 billion project. Tributes have been paid to Hannah Lynch, the 18-year-old daughter of tycoon Mike Lynch, who tragically died aboard her father's superyacht. Friends and family described her passing as cruel beyond belief, as Hannah had only just begun her adult life. Details surrounding the incident remain scarce, but the loss has left those close to her devastated. Former BBC presenter Jermaine Jenas has been sacked following allegations of inappropriate texts sent to staff, which left colleagues horrified. BBC insiders claim Jenas crossed the line and has no grounds to challenge his dismissal from the One Show and Match of the Day. Jenas has since expressed regret, stating, "I am ashamed and deeply sorry." Wallingford Rose FC, a football team for disadvantaged children, is at risk of being disbanded due to ongoing issues with the Scottish Football Association's registration system. The team has been attempting to register in a league since April, but technical problems with the SFA's computer system have left the matter unresolved for 5 months, causing frustration and uncertainty for the young players. A surprising 1 in 8 shoppers admit to cheating at self-service tills, often taking items without paying and not seeing it as wrong. This widespread behavior has sparked concerns among retailers, who face increasing losses due to this dishonest practice. The Sun also reports that Jermaine Jenas has apologized for inappropriate texts, admitting to emotional infidelity and undergoing therapy for self-destructive behavior. He expressed shame and apologized to his wife and colleagues.